Also, before we conclude the session, we're going to have a demonstration on software, My Accurate Books. I believe those who have been joining, they have been part of the demonstration for that software. So around 11:20, we are going to get that, have a demonstration for that, because it is part of the educational sector. They are involved in that software. So we can begin. So today's content, we are going to have an overview of the tax compliance, different taxes in the educational institutions, tax triggers, tax saving strategies, and the tax trends. So on the overview, we are going to check what we mean by tax compliance. So by tax compliance is whereby a taxpayer, you are complying, you are adhering to the tax laws and regulations that have been set by the Kenya Revenue Authority by paying your taxes on time, paying accurate taxes, and not evading taxes. So you are being compliant by that. So we can check on the indicators to measure compliance. So we have the filing compliance, filing a return. So you have the obligation, the income tax company, pay as you earn, VAT, rental income. So do you file those returns? So failure to file that, you're not compliant, and even you cannot get a tax compliance certificate. So number one measure of compliance is filing of return. Under the different tax obligations that we have, how do you file the returns? Then we have reporting compliance. So after you have filed the returns, have you paid the liability as expected? So the amount that you have declared and the amount that is due, is it the same? So you have not declared a lower sale than what is expected. So by being compliant, you are supposed to declare the actual sales of your company, or in this case, in the educational sector, we have school fees as our revenue. So have you declared the entire school fees that you have received for the entire period? So the amount that you have declared and the actual, that difference, that's how we measure the reporting compliance, whether you are compliant, have you done whatever is required. Then we have the payment compliance. So after you have filed, you have the resultant liability that you're supposed to pay. Have you paid that on time? So the different obligations have different timelines. So you're supposed to file and pay by that date. So have you paid? So failure to pay within the given timeline, you're not compliant, and you cannot get the tax compliance certificate. So if you want to know whether you are compliant, you can try applying for a TCC, the compliance certificate, in the tax portal, and you're going to see. Those of us who are not compliant, you're going to get reasons as to why. Maybe you have not filed return for the pay as you earn or income tax for the last 2 years. It will highlight to you the reason as to why you cannot get the compliance certificate. Then you have unpaid liability. So you filed the return on time, but you have not paid the taxes that resulted. That's another reason as to why you cannot get the TCC. So what are the importances of being tax compliant? Number one, you can access capital. So I believe those of us who have tried accessing facilities from the bank, they request to see your tax compliance certificate. They want to ensure before they engage with you to give that a facility, you are tax compliant. Also, you have met investors, they want to invest in your business. In this case, you have a school, a private school, you want a facility, or maybe you have investors who want to join you in the operation of the school. They want to see how compliant you are. Then you have improving business operations. That's also another importance of being tax compliant, because once you access capital or even facility, you are in a position to improve the operations, the different operations. So by being compliant, you are going to get the basis of improving your business operations. There is also enhancing growth through tendering and mergers. So we get different tenders and we apply for them, but in a way, you don't receive the tender, you don't qualify for tendering. Number one, failure to be compliant will disqualify you for for that tender. So you need to be compliant. File your returns on time and pay the resultant taxes on time so that you can be tax compliant, and always get the compliance certificate. Be in possession of one. So if at the moment you don't have, just log in your iTax company, iTax portal. Through the certificate, you'll get the application for the TCC. You apply and give the reason you want to confirm compliance. You're going to get the tax compliance certificate with you. Then you will operate with peace of mind. Once you are tax compliant, you don't have issues with KRH, so you don't expect them to visit you anytime or even issue emails to you as a demand. They demand taxes from you, so you will be in a position to operate well without any stress. You have peace of mind, and it will facilitate the growth of your business. So those are the importance of being tax compliant. So we check on the different taxes in the educational institution. We are going to focus on the income tax, advance tax, withholding tax, then the pay-as-you-earn, and we have other contributions that relate to the pay-as-you-earn, that is the NSSF, SHA, and the housing levy. So those are the different taxes that us as taxpayers in the educational institutions, we need to be paying those taxes. So if you have not been paying for the income tax, no, you are not being tax compliant. Also the advance tax, that one relates to the motor vehicles that we have in the schools. The withholding tax, maybe you have engaged a professional, you are doing a training, there is consultancy, any professional fee, consultancies, training, contracts, those are services that are subjected to withholding tax. So if you have not been paying that, you're not being tax compliant. Then we have pay-as-you-earn. I believe in every institution we have employees, and we should be limiting the pay-as-you-earn at the end of every month. For the other contribution, the NSSF, SHA, and housing levy, those employees that we have in our institutions, they're supposed to contribute the NSSF, SHA, and housing levy, and it's the responsibility of the employer to remit that. So you're supposed to deduct that tax from their salaries and remit that tax to the authorities. So we check on the income tax, and in case of any issue, kindly feel free to type in the chat box so that we can move together. So the income tax, this is the tax at the end of the year. So between January and June, that was the busy season for the audit and the filing of taxes. And this is the tax that we are focusing on, the income tax. It is the tax on the income generated by an entity and institution, and it is subjected to the profit. And so in the schools, we get the income that we have. Then we have different expenditures that we incur. We purchase kitchen items. We have the books. I believe in the private schools, those are the expenses that we incur. We have salaries, repairs, fuel for the motor vehicle. All those expenses, you deduct them from the income that you have earned, then you get the profit. The profit will be subjected to 30% of that is the income tax that you should pay to the government. So income generated by public schools and universities is exempt from income tax, but for the private schools and any other non-governmental institution, they are subject to income tax. So for this tax, it's only applicable for the private schools and any other institution that is not under government, that is not controlled by the government. It's not a public school or even the university. So if it's a private institution, ensure that at the end of the year, you have engaged an auditor and returns have been filed under the income tax, and you have paid that tax that has resulted 30% on the profit. So that is the tax rate. Then we have the deadline. So for the income tax, we are being given 6 months after the end year. So for those of us who the accounting period runs from January to December, you have until June of the next year to ensure that you have filed the returns. Then if your accounting period does not end in December, you may find that some of our accounts, the accounting periods they end in June, July, August, or even March. So if you fall under that category, you have 6 months from the end of the accounting period to do the audit and file the returns and they pay taxes to KRA. So once you do that on a later date from the deadline, you're going to get a penalty. So we have a penalty for the late filing and also the penalty for late payment. So you have filed late after 30th June. So there is a penalty of 20,000 or 5% of the tax due, whichever is higher. That is the penalty KRA will charge you. That's for the company. If your institution, maybe it's a small institution and you're operating under your own PIN as a business, the penalty is 2,000 for late filing. Then we have the late payment penalty, which is 5% of the tax due and an interest of 1% per month. So you have filed the returns on time, but you have not paid the taxes. So they will attract a penalty of 5% and an interest every month. If that tax remains unpaid for 5 months, you're going to get an interest of 1% per month. So to avoid any extra cost on the penalties and interest, let us observe the tax deadlines and then meet them to KRA on time. The other tax is the advance tax. So the advance tax, it relates to the public service vehicles, and this includes the buses in the schools, educational institution, the buses, and any other motor vehicle that you have serving the public. So that income that you receive from that motor vehicle, it is subjected to advance tax. And this one, it applies before licensing or registration. So before you visit the NTSA, you should have paid the advance tax, and this is done through the KRA portal. So it's a different tax from whatever you pay during inspection, because some of us confuse that. You say that you have paid the advance tax, but through the KRA portal, there is no record for your payment. So that's any amount that you have paid during inspection or registration and licensing, that one is different from advance tax. Advance tax is done through the KRA portal and it's self-assessment. So as of January 2024, the rate of buses and coaches is Kenya shillings 100 per passenger per month. So initially it was 50, but as from 2024, it is 100, or a minimum of 5,000 per year, whichever is higher. So you find that your bus is a 33-seater, so you're supposed to pay 100 bob per passenger capacity. So it will be 33 times 100. So that one is 3,300. But we have a minimum of 5,000. So if the tax is lower than the 5,000, you're supposed to pay the 5,000. That is per year. So it's good to ensure that you file the advance tax. So, and if you're not familiar with how it is done, you have not been filing, it's good to engage a professional. You can contact us and we're going to assist you in that. So advance tax payment, they are done annually by January 20th or before the transfer of vehicle ownership. So this tax you are expected to pay by January 20th. But if as it's now August, you have not paid, you can still make payment so that you can remain compliant to KRA. There is no penalty for, okay, there is a penalty for late payment, but it's better to pay that penalty instead of waiting for KRA to come and audit you because of failure to be paying that tax. So educational institutions must declare advance tax paid in their annual income tax returns. So during the introduction, we have said that this tax is a prepayment. So at the end of the year, when you're coming to file the income tax return, you're supposed to declare that amount that you paid. It will assist in offsetting the taxes for that period. So let's say by January 20th, you paid 5,000 under the advance tax. And at the end of the year, during the audit and after the taxes have been computed, you have a tax liability of 50,000 to pay. So the 5,000 that you had paid under the advance tax, it will be used to offset the tax, and you're going to pay the balance, which is 45,000. So in a way, it's a benefit to you as a taxpayer because you are going to consume that tax at the end of the year. So the late payment incurs a penalty of 5% of the tax due and a 1% interest per month on any unpaid amount. So any taxes that we have, they have penalties and interest for late payment. So by being non-compliant, you are incurring additional cost to your business. So we should avoid that so that we can minimize the costings in our businesses. So, and it's very easy for KRA to audit you because at the end of the year, when doing the income tax, you declare under your balance sheet that you have motor vehicle worth 10 million. But from their record, they can't see any advance tax that you have paid. So you're going to get a letter from KRA demanding those taxes. So it's good to remain compliant and pay those taxes. We have advance tax as our next item. So withholding tax, it's a tax deducted at source on payments made to individuals and entities for services rendered. So I believe we have encountered different aspects where the withholding tax is subjected. So even for the educational institutions, you are expected to pay withholding tax. And for this case, it's not a must for you to be a tax agent, a withholding agent, for you to pay the tax. The withholding agent applies for the VAT only, but for the other withholding taxes, you're supposed to remit to KRA. Withhold the amount and remit to KRA before you pay the supply of that service. So we have different applicable rates. So the withholding tax rate for educational institutions, we have 5% for resident service providers and 20% for non-residents. So in this case, that one we have the professional and consultancy fees. So you have engaged a professional or a consultant for any services. You are supposed to withhold 5% of the amount charged and remit that to KRA. You have engaged an auditor, they have charged you 200,000 for the audit. You're supposed to withhold 5%. So any amount that is above 24,000 per month is subjected to 5% and should be paid to the authority after within 5 days after the payment of that amount to the service provider. So for the under the scope of application, we check on the different categories whereby the withholding taxes affect the educational sector. Number one, we have talked about the withholding tax on the professional fees, management fees, training. So that one is charged at 5%. So you have engaged a consultant. You have a trainer who is coming to train maybe the employees in your institutions, and you pay them. So that one is a consultancy fee and the management fee. And if the amount to pay to them is above 24,000, you should pay 5% to KRA as withholding tax. Then the rest 95% you pay to the service provider. Then we have interest earned from the bank. You find that in the bank you have a fixed account. So you have been depositing that as an institution into that account, and there is interest that has been earned. So at the end of the year, you're going to get that you have earned income, but it is less 15%. So the bank will withhold 15% of that income earned, and you are expected to pay 15% to KRA on that interest earned. So the withholding for the interest, it is 15%. So out of that interest that you have earned, you will find that it has been deducted 15% by the bank, and they will remit that to KRA. Then you as the taxpayer, at the end of the year, you declare that income under the interest income, and there is no expense that you should deduct from that category of income, the interest income. So the entire amount is subjected to 30%, but 15% has already been paid by the bank. Then you pay the remaining 15% to KRA. Then you have contractual fees at a rate of 3%. you have engaged a contractor, there is construction ongoing in your institution. So at the end of during the end of that contract or during the payments, any payment that you pay to the contractor, you're supposed to subject it to 3% withholding and remit that to KRA. So before you engage these service providers, ensure that you have a discussion with them that the amount that you're going to pay to them, it will be less the withholding tax that you're going to deduct and remit to KRA, so that you can remain compliant. Failure to that, at the end of the year when you're doing the income tax and you have declared the profit and loss for that year, and we can see that you have contractual fees of 2 million. There was consultancy of 500,000. So KRA will assess, is there any withholding that you have paid? If not, they will demand the 5% on the consultancy and the 3% on the contractual. So at the end of the day, you're going to pay taxes that are like, it's an extra cost you're going to pay to KRA, yet you also paid the service provider 100%. So we should have that discussion with the service provider so that you can be on the same picture to enable you to be compliant. Then we have sales promotion, marketing and advertising services. The rate is 5%. So you have done marketing for your institution. So that service, you're supposed to withhold 5% and remit to KRA. Then we also have under rent. So for your institution, you have rented a place and KRA has appointed you as an agent to withhold. So for the rental income, you're supposed to withhold 7.5%. So before you pay the landlord the entire amount, you withhold 7.5% and pay that to KRA. So for the withholding taxes, the different categories that we have checked, they should be remitted to KRA by the 5th day after the withholding amount has been done. So you have paid the service provider today 15th. So you have until 20th to make sure that you have filed and remitted to KRA. So the process of remitting is through the iTax portal. So you make sure that you go into the iTax portal. Under the payment registration, you're going to select the income tax company as the tax head. Then subhead, you have the withholding tax. So under that section, now you select the category. Is it a consultancy fee? Is it a contractual? And you fill in the details of the service provider so that you can now get a payment slip to facilitate you to make that payment to KRA. So we have penalties. So failure to withhold or remit the correct amount of withholding tax, it can result to penalty of up to 10% of the amount due and 5% of the tax due for late payment. So if you have not withheld that tax, you have a penalty of 10% of the total amount. That is for failure to withhold. Then we have the other penalty for late payment, which is 5%. So we should avoid these extra costs that are coming up due to non-compliance. So ensure that each and every obligation that you have done it on time and remitted the taxes to KRA. The other tax aspect is on the pay-as-you-earn. So you have the pay-as-you-earn. I believe that this one is familiar to all of us, because even if we don't have institutions, we are employees of different institutions, and these taxes have been deducted from our salaries and been remitted to KRA by the employer. So this one, I believe, is not new to us. So the pay-as-you-earn, it is a tax levied on the employees on their monthly basis salaries. So it's done on a monthly basis on the employees' salaries, and it is submitted by the employer. So you as the employee, it's not your responsibility to deduct and pay the pay-as-you-earn to KRA. So it's the employer who should be having the pay-as-you-earn obligation. They deduct the taxes from the employee's salary and remit to KRA. So at the end of the day, failure to remit that, the employer will have a penalty to pay and interest accruing from any unpaid taxes. So the pay as you earn, they are calculated on a graduated scale, and minimum is 24,000. So the first bracket is 0 to 24, and the tax rate is 10%. So if your employees are earning between 0 to 24, don't assume because there will be no tax that will result from there, they should not be included in the pay as you earn. Ensure everybody is there. So even if the salary is 20, at the end of the day there is no tax to pay, but it will enable the employer at the end of the year to claim the salary expense as the total amount that has been incurred. Then we have a penalty, which is 10,000 for late filing and also for late payment. If you file on time but you fail to pay on time, there will be a penalty and interest on that amount. Pay as you earn should be done by 9th of the following month. So now we are in the month of August. The pay as you earn for August should be filed by 9th of September. So between 1st and 9th, you should have filed the returns for pay as you earn. Under the pay as you earn, we have a personal relief, which is 28,800 per year and 2,400 per month. So that's why any person earning 24,000 will not have a tax to pay, because 24,000 we have said it's in the tax bracket, the first tax bracket, which tax is 10%. So 10% of 24,000 is 2,400. Then now you get the tax relief of 2,400. So the net effect will be 0. So no tax will be paid. So we have checked on the different taxes affecting the educational institution. Now we can check on the other contribution or the statutory deductions that relate to the pay as you earn. The first one, we have the NSSF. I believe we have been paying the NSSF. So for the NSSF, it is contained in the NSSF Act 2013. And we have seen the different changes that has been happening. So in this year, February 2025, we got new rates, the contribution rates that are governing this phase. So once this phase is over, they are going to introduce different rates. So initially, we used to contribute 200 as the NSSF contribution per month, but now we can see the changes that have resulted, because currently we have the contribution rate is 6% of the employee's salary. So it has increased from the initial one that we had from 200. We had the first phase, it increased. Then now we have the other phase, which we are in the second phase. So the contribution rates, they are governed by limits. We have an upper and a lower limit. And the lower limit currently is at 8,000 currently. Initially, in the year 2024, it was 7,000, but currently it is 8,000. Then the upper limit, it increased from 36 to 72. It doubled. So the contribution now, we have in between the lower limit of 8 and the upper limit of 72. So every employee and employer, they're supposed to contribute 6% each on the employee's salary. So at the end of the month, you have a total of 12% that has been contributed. As an employer, you're contributing 6% on behalf of that employee, and the employees deducted the same 6%. So the total is 12,000. So what we mean by the lower limit and upper limit, I believe we are familiar on the different categories. We have Tier 1 and Tier 2. So for Tier 1, it's any amount that is being subjected on the lower limit. So 6% of 8,000, that is for 80. That is the Tier 1 contribution that we do. Then for Tier 2, every employer should be in the Tier 1 and Tier 2 category. Tier 2 will be 6% of the difference between the upper limit and the lower limit. So 6% of 72,000 less 8,000. So the total now will be contributed to KRA. Or basically, in a simple way, if you're earning, let's say 30,000, the NSSF that should be contributed will be 6% of the 30,000, that is 1,800. So you remit 1,800, you contribute 1,800 as an employee, and the employer will also contribute 1,800. So the total will be 3,600 that should be remitted to NSSF. Then the upper limit being 72. This means anyone earning above 72, that is 72,500, any amount above 72, the contribution will be the same. There is no changes. That is the upper limit. So above 72, going forward, the contribution will be 6% of 72,000. And the 6% of 72 is 43.20. So at the end of the day, if you're getting, let's say 72,000, your contribution will be 43.20, and the employer will contribute the same 43.20. So you're going to get 86.40 in your NSSF account for that month. So we have the filing date for NSSF. It should be done by 9th of the following month. So the same as pay as you earn. So even for the NSSF should be done by 9th. So we have penalty for late payment, which is 5% of the total contribution. So let's say after you have done your contribution, you're supposed to pay 50,000 for the NSSF, and you fail to observe the timelines and you pay late, so you're going to be subjected to a penalty of 5%. So even the statutory deductions, they have penalties, not just the major taxes that you have seen. Even these deductions, they also have penalties which are costly for the business. We have the SHA under the Social Health Insurance Fund. It was introduced to replace the NHIF, and I believe now everyone is familiar with the SHA because it has been the talk of the town how it's not being effective. They are not catering for the bill, but that is the program that is there, and everybody should be registered at the SHA. Then the employer should also be registered so that you can be remitting the monthly contribution for your employees. So also in this case for educational sectors, we have the school-going children. They should also be registered as dependents under the Social Health Insurance Fund. So in this case, we are not just talking about the employees in the educational sectors and the employers that they should be registered. Even the school-going children, they need to be registered as dependents under the Social Health Insurance Fund so that they can benefit from these contributions. So the contribution rate, the rate is 2.75 of your monthly income. So if you're earning 50,000, you're supposed to be deducted 2.75 by your employer, and they remit that to KRA. So anybody without formal employment, the minimum is 300. And I believe when you're registering for SHA, there is we have those questions that we fill in, and they are used as a determinant of the monthly contribution that you are supposed to make on a monthly basis. So let's be compliant and ensure that the employees in our institutions, they are all registered. And also as the employer, it's your responsibility to deduct these contributions and remit the same to the authority. So for those who have not registered for SHA, you can use the *147# to register, or you can visit the SHA website, or even the Huduma centers. You're going to get assistance on the registration. Also to note, we don't have a tax relief for the shift contribution, but it is an allowable deduction. So initially, when we are doing the pay as you earn, that's why I said that these deductions are associated with the pay as you earn. We were getting a tax relief for 15,000 of the monthly contribution. So we have talked about the PAYE relief, which is 2,400. We were also getting the 15% of the SHA monthly contribution as a relief to reduce the taxes to pay. But now currently, that insurance relief under the SHIF is not there. Whatever changed, the share contribution is an allowable deduction. It's not subjected to tax. For example, if you're earning 30,000, the amount that should be subjected to tax is not 30. So we deduct NSSF, which is an allowable deduction. NSSF, you have said, is 6%. So 6% of that is 1,800. Then we have 2.75% for the share contribution. I think it's around 825 there. So 30,000, you deduct 1,800 and 825, you're going to get around 27,000. That is the amount that should be subjected to tax. So it's good to note that there is no relief under the SHIF. So when doing the pay as you earn, we do it accurately. We should not subject that, have that 15% relief. The other one is the housing levy. So the housing levy is a mandatory contribution. It is charged at a rate of 1.5% of our gross monthly salary, matched by 1.5% by the employer. So in this case, it operates the same as the NSSF. The employee contributes 1.5 and the employer contributes the same 1.5. So at the end of the day, 3% will be deposited into your account as the employee. So, and the deadline for filing is 9th of every month. So the housing levy is done together with the pay as you earn. So those of us who are familiar with the pay as you earn filing, I believe we have encountered that. So the housing levy is also subjected at that point. Then we have the penalty for late payment is 2% of the unpaid amount. Assume for the number of employees that you have, maybe you have 10 employees, the tax resulting is 20,000. So, and you fail to pay on time, so there is a penalty 2% of the unpaid amount. We have we have an explanation of the gross monthly salary. What it is a basic salary plus the regular cash allowances. Maybe you get the transport allowances on a monthly basis, the housing allowances, so that you can get the total. Assume your basic salary is 30,000, but you have additional allowances which give you a total of 35. So the housing levy should be subjected to that 35,000. And also to note, even if you're not having the payee obligation and you have that income, you're supposed to pay 1.5% as a housing levy contribution. So those are the different taxes that we have checked under the educational sectors, the different taxes and the statutory deductions. So we can check on the tax triggers, which was part of content for today. And I believe we are still together and you're getting responses in the chat box. So we proceed to the tax triggers. So when you talk about the tax triggers, we are checking on what is triggering KRA to do an audit to the taxpayer. I believe even the educational institutions, we get audits from KRA. We receive letters with the intentions of KRA to audit us, maybe for a period of the last 3 or 5 years, because they should audit you for a period of 5 years. But at some point you get the requesting an audit for the last 2 years or 3 years. So we are not an exemption. As taxpayers, even in the educational institutions, we are subjected to these audits. So what triggers these KRA audits, or rather the tax triggers? Number one is non-filing and the late filing of returns. So we have talked of the different taxes that we have: the income tax, the pay-as-you-earn, the withholding taxes, and each tax we have talked of, they have different timelines. So failure to file the tax on time, or even failure to file completely, that one is a trigger, because the KRA, they have the access to every taxpayer's account. There is an officer assigned to your account. So every time they see that you have not filed your return for the last 3 years, so that one is a trigger. Maybe you have been failing the returns, but you have been failing the returns late. It is also another trigger. So it will trigger KRA to come and audit you. They want to verify your record and also to see where you have not been failing. Number 2, we have the significant variations in amount declared in returns. In this case, we have pay as you earn and salaries and wages at the end of the year. So pay as you earn is an independent tax. We have checked on that. Then under the income tax company, you should declare the salary and wages expense that you have incurred in that year. So any difference between the two will trigger an audit from KRA. They want to see where the salary and wages at the end of the year is 5 million. Yet when they check on the pay as you earn that you have declared for the whole year is getting to 2 million. So why that difference? The 3 million variance. And to note, any variance, if we say that it is subject to 30% taxes. So in this case, they won't use the graduated scale. They will subject the entire variance to 30%. So that one is a higher cost to the company. So at the end of the year, when the auditor has come, they have audited your books and they want to file the returns. Ensure that you have a discussion with the auditor and you are aware of the figures that they are going to file. So the thing to check is your pay as you earn and the salaries, are they in line? Because any variance will call for an audit from KRA. Then number 3 trigger, we have continuous losses by a company. So your institution has been making losses since you started operations. So that one is another trigger. Are you operating out of passion with those losses? Where are you getting the funds to run the company? If every year you have losses. So they want to see that. Then you have the industry trends versus specific company profits. So the different institutions, they are declaring a higher profit, but you in your institution, it's always a loss or a slight profit of 10,000. So that variance between whatever you are reporting and the trends within your industry is also another call for audit. Then you have business restructuring. You want to restructure your business. So also KRA will be interested in this, the process of restructuring. Why and how is it happening? So they want to verify whatever you have been reporting to them. Is it actual? Are you filing the right taxes? Are you doing are you paying the right taxes to them? So through the business restructuring, it's another call for audit. Then we have third-party information. So you get you as a taxpayer, KRA is not aware of whatever is happening in your company, but another party will go to KRA and disclose whatever has been happening in institution A. So that information that they get from a third party will trigger them to see, it will drive them to see whatever has been happening, to verify if this information they have gotten, is it actual, or whatever you have been remitting, is it true? Is it reflecting the actual position and performance of your institution? Then you have media attentions on a company. So if the media is always on institution ABC, so even KRA will be interested to see these are institutions where the media focuses too much. Then we have current of all former employees giving out information. So once you have terminated a contract with your employee, maybe you have parted ways on a bad term, so they want to do a revenge and they go and give KRA information regarding your institution. They will say that you report you earn an income of 20 million per term, but at the end of the year you are declaring an income of 5 million. So they give out the true picture of your company, yet it varies from whatever you have been declaring in the KRA returns. Then we have intercompany transactions. So you have different companies that relate to this institution. So those are transactions happening between them. Maybe you have gotten a loan from company A, which is a sister company to your institution. So they would want to see the different transactions, because those transactions, they also be subjected to taxes. They want to see whether you are complying. So those are the tax triggers. So it's good to ensure that the different tax triggers that we have talked about, you focus on them so that at the end of the day, you are in the safe side with KRA. Even if they send a letter to you with an intention of audit, they won't find any taxes from you to pay. So you are compliant. We check on the tax saving strategies. So the tax saving strategies, we are going to talk about the income tax and the pay as well, which are our major taxes. So number one, interest expense on loan taken for the furtherance of the business. So you have received a loan from KCB Bank or Equity Bank, and you have been incurring interest on a monthly basis. But then at the end of the year, you don't have that expenditure. So your profit is still higher, but there is an extra cost that you are incurring. So it's good to ensure each and every loan that you have received, made from a bank or even from a local company, ensure that any interest that has been charged, it has been expensed under the finance cost, so that it can reduce the profit, thus reducing the tax. So that one, you are reducing the tax in a legal way. Then we have bad debts. You should expense the bad debts, whereby these debts are more than 2 years old, and you can demonstrate that you tried recovering this debt, but no success in recovering that amount. So maybe you can find that you had students in the year 2010, and up to date, there is arrears relating to those students. So those are 15 years. Is there any hope of recovering that amount? There is no hope. So that one is a bad debt. But you have to show a proof that you tried recovering with no success. So you should have that expense as bad debt written off. And also you should have a board resolution that the board met on this day and they decided that this debt should be written off since it has been there for the last 5 years and you have tried all the ways to collect the amount, but there is no success. So at the end of the day, when KRA will come to audit you, they want to see proof that you tried recovering this debt to no success. Then we have capital allowances. So we have equipment, we have motor vehicle, buildings. So these equipments or even machineries and the buildings, we have capital allowances that is subjected to them. So you should take advantage of that. It will assist in reducing the taxes that you pay. So ensure in your tax computation there is a capital allowance because it is allowable if you have those buildings or the machineries that they relate to, so that it can reduce your tax liability. So basically, those are the tax saving strategies under the income tax. Also, for the expenses that we claim, ensure that you have a valid support document to support that expense, because during an audit, KRA would want to see you have claimed that you have repairs and maintenance worth 5 million. Do you have invoices? Do you have receipts to support that? And because Kenyans are Kenyans, you can get a receipt from anywhere to support that. They would also want to see the mode of payment. They want to see the proof of payment. You paid for this expense totaling to 5 million. So they will also request for the bank statement, show them that transaction in the bank that relates to that expense. So during the KRA audit, some of the taxpayers end up their expenses being disallowed due to the lack of support documents, and this will contribute to a higher tax to pay. So it's also another saving strategy to ensure that all the expenses that you have declared, they have support documents. Then under the pay as you earn, we have the following strategies. Number one, take insurance cover. So relief is given at 15% of the premium to a maximum of 60,000 per year. So per year, the relief is 60,000. Per month is 5,000. And we said, remember when we talked about SHA, it's an insurance, yes, but that one is not, there is no relief under SHIF. But if you have any other insurance cover, you should get a 15% relief. And when filing the pay as you earn, make sure that you disclose that there so that it can reduce the tax to pay. Take a mortgage instead of a loan. So the mortgage interest up to 30%, 30,000 per month or the 60,000 per year. It is not taxable, it is allowable. So when computing the taxes, the pay as you earn, your employees, they have mortgage. That interest, it should be allowable. 30,000 per month is not taxable. Make sure that you get the relevant documentation so that when filing the pay as you earn, it will assist in reducing the tax to pay. Register with the retirement benefit scheme. So for the retirement benefit scheme, so the tax deductible, we have up to 30,000 per month. So it's also an allowable contribution. Make sure that you register with these benefit schemes. The other one is to contribute to a registered home ownership saving plan, and you get a relief to a maximum of 8,000 per month. So these we are talking about this relief or the tax allowable. They are not subjected to tax. So from the monthly salary that you have, they are going to be deducted so that they can arrive to the taxable income. And this will enable to lower the pay tax that you're going to pay on a monthly basis. Then we have getting a disability relief. So disabled employees, they get a relief. Their salary from 0 to 150. Anyone earning within that range, 0 to 150, they don't pay taxes. But you have to be registered with the disability. And they have to verify that you fall under that category and you have a disability number, registered number under their authority, so that you can qualify for exemption of that pay as you earn tax. So if you have those employees from our institutions, encourage them to get that. Apart now from the tax saving strategies, we check on the KRA ongoing audits. So, and this one we still talked, it's in relation to the tax triggers that we have talked about. So the different ongoing audits, we have the legacy debts. So these are the debts that were there before we moved into the iTax system. Initially, the system was manual. So that transition from the manual and the iTax system, the debts that were there, they are now being handled under the iTax. So that's what we refer to the legacy debts. And you find that you pay those tax liability. So it's your responsibility as a taxpayer. If you find yourself in this category of the legacy debt, support that you paid that. Show proof of payment from the bank statement that you had paid that tax. Then we have returns review. So every year you're supposed to file your returns. So it's upon KRA to come and review the returns that have been filed, because we call that self-assessment. You are assessing yourself, but now KRA will come and review whatever you have submitted as your income, the expenditure, and the profit which is submitted, which is subjected to tax. So they want to verify under your return. You said that you have an income of 20 million. Is it the same amount that is being portrayed in the bank statement? The different expenditures that you have, are they actual? Do you have support documents to support them? So, and that relates to the third category, which is the expense assessment. So every expense that you have are claimed in those returns. They want to assess that you have salary and wages of 10 million. Is it valid? Do you have the wages schedule, the payment vouchers to support that? Are the employees existing in your business? So this is happening currently. They want to assess the expenses that the taxpayers have claimed. Then we have the advanced taxes. We talked about that relating to the school buses and any other commercial motor vehicle that you have. We said that you should pay the taxes to KRA at the beginning of the year. So if in your accounts you have motor vehicle under your assets, but you don't have advanced tax paid, that one is also another issue with KRA. So ensure that you have paid the advanced taxes. Then we have if miss. So the records in the IFMIS, are they relating to whatever you have been declaring to KRA? So any variance between whatever you have filed to KRA and the IFMIS records, it will trigger that audit, and it's happening. Then you have the nil filers. So you have the different obligations that we talked about, but you have been limiting a nil return every now and then. In the non-filers, you're not filing the returns. So you have the pay as you earn obligation. For the last 3 years, you have not submitted anything. The income tax company, you have not submitted anything. So that non-filer is another audit that is ongoing. And not having pay obligation, yet having salaries as an expense. So yeah, failure to have the pay obligation is another audit that is ongoing, and they want to see the wages or the salaries that you have claimed under that expense. Support that, they would want to see the monthly wages schedule, the salaries records, the payment vouchers. So it's good every employer to have the payee obligation, because in the educational institutions we have those employees. So ensure that you have the payee obligation registered, so that at the end of the year when you claim that you have a salary expenditure of 3 million, it's valid. You have the payee obligation to support that. Then the other audit is the tax investigation on evasion. Yeah, the taxpayers are evading to pay tax. So if KRA got a slight information about company A, B, C, or institution A, B, and C not remitting their taxes, they'll come to investigate that. So what are the actions to take during an audit? So KRA, they have sent a letter to you, they want to audit you. What are the actions should you take? Number one, you should understand the time frame given by KRA. So in that letter you're going to sent by KRA, you're going to see that you have 7 days to respond to that. So understand those timelines. So if you have been given 7 days, make sure by the end of the 7 days you have responded. If whatever documents you have been requested, they are not ready, communicate to them and request for additional time. Number two, evaluate the information required by KRA. So in that letter, during the KRA audit, they will send an email with the letter and they will highlight all the documents they require. So it's good to evaluate and make sure all the necessary documentation required is available. Then carry out a pre-audit compliance check. So they have requested for your ledgers, for your bank statement. Ensure that you have an audit to check what are the tax implications that will arise from this audit. So before you hand over the documents to KRA, you are aware this is the tax position that we are in, and these are the taxes that might result from this audit. Have an opening meeting with the KRA team. So they will call you at their office. So make sure that you avail yourself, and you can engage a tax expert who will be your representative. You can accompany them to the KRA meeting. Assign a contact person from your finance team to be the contact person. So ensure in your finance team you have 5 people. Not everyone should be responding to KRA on their audit queries. So ensure employee A is the person who will be in contact with KRA. Any email sent from KRA, that is the person who will be responding. Any document requested, that is the person who will be in charge, not just everybody, to avoid giving out different information. Resolve as many issues as possible during the audit. So they will highlight they want to audit the pay as you earn, but if you note that you have any other issue, ensure that it has been solved before the audit process has been closed, so that we cannot have the same audit being repeated again. So all issues that have been highlighted, ensure they have been handled through the audit process. Then ensure you receive an official letter of findings from the KRA. So once the entire audit process has been completed, maybe you have not paid any tax, or there was tax in dispute to pay, ensure at the closure of that process, you have received the final letter from KRA, which is official. So next year, even if you receive another letter auditing the same period, you have a documentation to show them that you were audited to avoid the repeat of the same process. Then the last action is to pay any taxes which are not in dispute. So that one is very necessary. You have closed the audit process and they require you to pay 10 million. Make sure that if that tax is not in dispute, you comply and pay it within the given timelines. So we have different accounting books that are required for the tax audit purposes. Number one, we have the sales ledger and the purchases ledger. So they want to see you have a sale of our revenue of 20 million. They want to see the ledger supporting that, all those transactions to support the 20 million. Sales and purchases invoices. So once in the institution the student have paid their school fees, you should issue them with an invoice to support each and every transaction. So you should maintain them at your office. Then have the general ledger, the asset register. You have the M-Pesa statement and the bank statement. They want to verify your income using those. Debtors and the creditors account, so that you cannot overstate your debtors and the creditors. The debtors and the creditors that you declare, are they the actual? Is that the actual position of the institution? Then the salaries and wages. Have the payrolls in place. In case of any casual wages, have the wages schedule. Have the payment vouchers in place to support that. Then we have the director's account. As much as they want to audit an institution or a company, even the director in charge will also get audited. So the account should be also in check. Any transaction happening between the institution and the director, it is well documented, it has a support. Then loan statement and inventory accounts. In case you maintain inventory in your institution, have the inventory accounts to support the inventory that you have declared at the end of the year. Then our last item is on the tax trend. So currently the trend that is there is on the new PAYE filing system. I believe those of us who file the pay as you earn, you have seen the changes. So currently we have a simplified filing system whereby you are just required to submit the employee details, the salaries, allowances, all those, which is more simpler than the previous year. Even you can see the different tabs that we have in the template, they are just few compared to whatever we had. So the new pay filing system is very simplified and it was supposed to take effect on 1st July. So if you have not used it, just know that from 1st July going forward, we are supposed to use the new pay filing system. So under the new filing options available, we have different filing options. So as at July 1st, 2025, KRA introduced a simplified pay return process that offers multiple user-friendly filing channels, including, so these are the different channels to file. We have the Excel-based return template. So this is what we're getting from the iTax portal, and it's different from the previous one that we were using. We have the mobile application and web-based platform options, API integration that will enable integration. It will enable data transfer from the payroll or ERP direct to KRA system. So under the API integration, there is no need to use the iTax portal. So those are the different filing options that we have. But you can start with the Excel-based return template, which is new. Experience that and see. It's very simple and it does not have much to do when filing the pay-as-you-earn return. Then you have the system integration. So the new system has been integrated with key government platforms to automate deductions and payment for multiple statutory contributions. So we have talked about the different statutory contributions, the SHA, NSSF, housing levy. So there is that system integration with the government platforms to facilitate the deductions and the payments. So we have the integration Integrated Financial Management Information System, the IFMIS, Central Bank, Government Human Resource Information System via the API connections. So it will allow you to remit the pay-as-you-earn and the affordable housing levy, the NITA, without so much effort when doing that. So those are the changes that has happened with the pay-as-you-earn. So, and that brings us to the end of the taxes in the educational sector. As we began, I had talked about the demonstration of my Accurate book, which is an accounting software that has been developed in-house. But before we look at that, we can have maybe 5 minutes to check on something else. So we have different functions that are coming up at LWK Africa. So we have a CEO breakfast meeting in the manufacturing sector. This one will be a physical training. It will be held at Swiss Lenana Mount Hotel on 21st August 2025 at 9 a.m. So if you are there and you are in the manufacturing sector, the CEOs, make sure that you engage us so that we can book your slot for this event. And the charges are, we have the early bird charges is 2,500, though that one has already passed. It was up to 5th August. Then the advance purchase, which was up to 10th August, 3,000. And the last chance, which is valid up to 20th, which is 5,000. So if you would be interested to attend, or you know any CEO in the manufacturing sector, you can refer them to us. They can contact us for that booking. Then we have a webinar, which will be on 22nd August, talking about the top findings in KRA audit. So it will be on 22nd, 10 to 12. That one will be an online webinar. Make sure that you join us to learn more on the KRA audits. Then we have a free training on the Skill Up Mentorship Program, which is also part of LWK Africa. That's a CSR that we host. And we will be having an event on 23rd August from 10 to 1 p.m. or at Dika Road Technical College, opposite PCA Church in Darugo. So that one is along Dika Road, Akomau High School, that area. So we are going to train on how to make liquid soap, toilet cleaner, and hand wash. So it's a free training. You just need to avail yourself from 10 to 1, and you're going to get skills on making those products. Then we have an audit and bookkeeping masterclass, which is coming next month. It will be from 8th to 19th September. So we are going to talk on the bookkeeping masterclass from 8th to 12th. Then the audit masterclass from 15th to 19th. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It will be online. Also, we have a physical training for the same, for the audit and bookkeeping from 4th to 6th September, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Swiss Lenana Hotel. Charges for the physical is 35,000, but for the online, if you want to do the bookkeeping masterclass, is 10,000, and the audit is 10,000. But if you want to combine them, have the bookkeeping and the audit masterclass, we have a discount. It will be 15,000 for both. So, and I believe that we have someone who has engaged us during the masterclasses. So it's a valuable class that we have been having for the last 3 years. So it's your time now to join us and learn more. So you can contact us for that. That's all for the events that are upcoming. Then on the services, we have different services that we offer here at LWK. We have the tax, health tech, and bookkeeping services. So as we were talking about tax compliance, you don't know whether you have been compliant or the tax implications that we have. You can engage us for a tax health tech service and also for bookkeeping services. We offer the bookkeeping services on a monthly basis at a very affordable price. So it's upon you to contact us and talk to us, and so that we can have an agreement on how to assist you or work together. Then we have the financial consulting services that we offer. So we have different services from the taxes, audits, bookkeeping, internal audits, accounting software installation, and that's why we are going to look at the MyAccurate software. Then we have the tax compliance, tax audit, tax health check, tax trainings, business overview, operations review, and the cash flow projections. If you want any services that we have outlined, you can contact us for the same. Under the bookkeeping, we offer the different services. We have the management report, filing of the monthly returns, bank reconciliation, payroll, account payable and receivable reconciliation, cash flow forecasting, cost management, break-even analysis, and budget to actual report. Then we have the internal audit to streamline your processes and system. Then we have the taxes, different aspects of tax, filing returns, the health check, the KRA representation, and any advisory regarding tax and the trainings. Feel free to engage us so that we can learn more on that. Then we have the MyAccurate software. It's MyAccurate Books. It's an accounting software. So we are going to briefly check on that in the next 2 minutes so that we can get a better understanding of MyAccurate Books. We have our location. We are located at Nairobi, Westlands Road, Dada Residence, Gate 83. So if you would feel that you want to visit us physically, that's where we are located, along Westlands Road. Then we have our contact, 0728 897 429, and the email, info@lwkafrica.com, and the website. So feel free to contact us for any assistance. And that's all. I believe that the session was educative and we have learned 1 or 2 things, and the questions have been answered in the chat box. So we can get this chance, and I want to invite my colleague John so that he can take you through MyAccurate book. John, welcome very much, so that you can take us through the session under MyAccurate Books.
Maybe before you leave, I see there are a couple of questions.
Okay.
So there is one from Nuseba. He asks, how does eTIMS apply in the education sector? How do you invoice with eTIMS to students? Is there a simpler way to go about it?
So for the eTIMS, yeah, you can respond to that. For the eTIMS, every taxpayer should be onboarded on eTIMS. Whether you have VAT or not, for the education sector, there is no VAT, but you need to have the eTIMS. eTIMS is a system that will enable the transmission of data between the taxpayer and KRA. There is no simpler way to go about it since it's a requirement from the KRA. So we should get a point of onboarding on eTIMS.
Maybe the last one. There is one from Kevin Nyango. He asked sorry, is it Kevin or there was another one? Yeah. So that's a compliment. So there is one from Gladys. Can MyAccurate Books be integrated with Tende? I think I'll be in a position to answer this as we go through MyAccurate Books. The other one is when taxpayer concedes, what payment plans can they get into with KRA? Maybe that's the last one.
Yeah, so and when the taxpayer concedes, the option is very available. You get into a payment plan with KRA, depending on the amount that is there to pay. So you get into a payment plan on how much you should be paying on a monthly basis. Yeah, and you're supposed to comply with those terms that you're going to set. Maybe the payment is 5 million. On a monthly basis, you can afford to pay 200,000. So you can get into that agreement with KRA and develop a payment plan that will guide you into paying the taxes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mary, for that insightful session. I also want to thank participants for being active and following up on, especially in matters relating to your sector, which is education sector. And I know we've had, every time we have a webinar, we usually get to present my accurate books. Previously, I know I've been running you through notes, but today I want us to jump right into the system so that you can get a better understanding of how simplified it is. And again, you can also get to know how practical you can implement it in your case, specifically in the education sector, assuming that if not all, majority of us are in the education sector. But before we jump right into the presentation, I would like to understand. I would like to understand from wherever you are. One feeling word. Just write one feeling word or one feeling emoji, and I'll be happy to see that we are together as I share my screen. So if you can see this, kindly give me a thumbs up. If you can see my screen. Thank you, William. So what is my accurate books, and why should you have it as an entrepreneur, as an educationist? Why should you have it? Now, my accurate books is an extremely simplified accounting system that has been developed locally by both auditors and bookkeepers and accountants as well. And we've also invested so much when it comes to now the software development. We have a team that has been working day and night to ensure that this system is functional. And as our tagline says, simplified enough to make your accounting work easy. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will run you through the system from the point of creation of an account up to the point of making sale, whether it's a service, and in most instances in a school setup, it's a service. And I'll also get to mention about my accurate pay, because there is a question that has been mentioned about linking my accurate books with 10-day. I'll show you that we do have my accurate pay that can help you when it comes to petty cash management and even making payments to your suppliers. So without waste of a second, this system is both an application and you can also access it on the web. By application, I mean, if you go to Google Play Store, you will get it as my accurate books, and the logo or the icon is plus, minus, division, and multiplication signs with a gold background. And when you get to that, you can download it. It is I would say a very small quantity. I would say it is not a big application. It's around 20 MBs, so it will not eat up much of your space. If most of the time or all the time you're using your PC, you can type in myaccuratebook.com and it will land you on our website where you're able to view everything about this system. And at that point, you can create an account. So for today, I will assume that we have accounts. So I would take us through the process of it. Let me just do it, assuming that you don't have an account. So you have an option of creating an individual or a corporate account. However, in both of the scenarios, you must include your personal details. That is your name, name of the business, again, location of your business, and the number that will be contacted in the event that there's a communication from us in regards to the system. You'll also indicate how you transact your business. In the event that you use US dollars, you are able to do that within the system. In the case that you use Kenya shillings, you will be in a position to do that. Again, when it's a corporate or an institution, you can upload the institution logo, and so that when you generate your invoices or your quotation or receipts, it appears with your information. Now, in setting up an account, over here you see when you put in your number, you're supposed to verify where you get an OTP code from us that you will key in, and after keying it in, you say you submit all those details, and your account at that point is already created. Now, in my case, I already have an existing account, and so we are going to log in. So when you log in, this is your landing page, and we have two packages. That is the standard package and the gold package. And you're able to see that when you click on this icon and you say upgrade. At the moment, the free package is not functional, so we only have the standard package and the gold package. And when you sign up to the standard package, you'll only be required to pay 500 shillings a month or 750 for the gold package. When you sign up for the quota package under standard package, you'll pay 1,400 as investment or 2,200 under the gold package. And when you do it yearly, you'll only pay 5,500 shillings only for the standard package, or 9,000 shillings for the gold package. So now, in creation of your account, you realize that at some point you may not have all details that you require to set up an account, but maybe you have the basics. In the event that you missed out on some information, you can come to business profile. With business profile, over here, you're able to edit your business. So if, for example, you had indicated maybe it's International School of Kenya, and maybe you didn't have the institution's logo, you can upload the logo over here. If maybe you did have, you had not included your website and all that, you're able to include it at this point. For this, in the event that there are different campuses, you can create and include locations of all the campuses. Now, the other bit that is most crucial is when it comes to making of payments. By default, the system is made in a way that it can receive or you can include cash payment. However, when you have maybe your payments are made through PAYE or through bank transfers or even through Pochi la Biashara, you are able to include that information here, and that information again will be used when you are receiving or when you are invoicing anyone that you are doing business with. Without waste of a second, we jump right into now what you expect within the system. As I mentioned, maybe a brief, again, a very brief background. This system was launched in November last year. So we've been in the market for the last over 8 months. And you would be surprised that we have clientele, over 700 clients who are active and paid up. And we also have over 1,700 downloads within the 9 months that we've been in the market. So we are, in fact, we are mesmerized by the reception that the system has gotten from users in different sectors. And you would be surprised that we have clients in the education sector. I think I have a couple of around 20 schools that have already implemented this system in their operations. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will go to the dashboard. When you log in under the standard package, some of the features that you're going to see is a dashboard, items, sales. With sales, you could either make a sale, a quotation. Sale could be in form of an invoice or something, or a receipt. You will also get to see purchases. I know institutions are involved in purchases or supplies for the school. You are able to update that in this system. You can update information of your customers. In this case, it could be learners. In this case, it could be learners or suppliers. Below that, there is also expenses. You are able to update expenses in the system, and you can even update information of your suppliers, as you can see here. Now, when it comes to reports, under this package, standard package, you're able to get your inventory report. You can generate a P&L report. You are able to see any person who owes you, or any debit note that you've created, or credit note that you've created. After that, you can get your sales report. This is information on receipts that you've generated or invoices. Most importantly, you're able to create different users within the system. So whether it's an accountant or a bursar, basically someone who is involved in exchange of money within your organization, you are able to include their information, including a procurement officer or procurement department. You're able to update their information here. And when you give them rights, we'll be in a position to, if it is purchases, they're able to initiate purchases, and they're also able to update when a purchase is paid for. With branches, you might find that you have, maybe in the case of a business or an institution, you might have different campuses or branches. You are able to update that information under the branch. And therefore, if the different campuses or the different branches have different handlers, you will be in a position to be following up on the different transactions that are going on as the school administrator or the owner or administrator of this system. Now, we can start with updating one service. Under items, you can update items, and you see here there is an icon where you can update on either of the branches. However, as an admin, you have access to all branches. So you have two options. In the event that you want to upload a service that you offer, or you want to upload products that you offer, you can either download the system template, saturate it with the relevant information, then upload it or import it into the system. That way, all your information will be updated, as you can see under this list. The other bit is that when maybe you don't have too many items to update, you can add them one by one, and they will still be saturated under this system. So after that is done, You will now, in the event that you wish to make a sale, you can make a sale. And how do you do that? You come and say make sale. So let's identify one product. So at the moment, there is no such a product. So we can say we can take one product or one service. So we say we are buying computer mouses. Now we also buying cooking oil. Also buying Ingra. Or we maintain on the two products. Now that seems like Unga is not updated in my items. And we say select the two. Now, in some instances, when you're selling, you may discount, you may give discount. So if you are giving a discount, you just update it here or here. Let's say, for example, for the cooking oil, we are discounting 150 more. And why do you need details of your customer? Whether it's your student or parent or class. Because when you have their details, you will only type their name. For example, I want Kenya. So there is Kenya Sasa. We assume that is my client. In the event that they are not in your system, you can say walk-in customer. Walk-in customer. With walk-in customer, you cannot do an invoice. So you only generate a receipt. And you say pay now. When you say pay now, you, as I was doing introduction to the system, I showed you a place where you can indicate, or you can, basically you can indicate the different modes of payment that you receive as an organization or institution. In this case, I have many of them. So let's say this is being bought at through PayBill. That is what we are going to use. And again, if you want to backdate a receipt, maybe you missed it out. You can backdate it in this system by indicating the date of that receipt. In the meantime, because this one is for today, we'll say complete that sale. So this will be the outlook of your receipt. And it shows, basically it shows what you've sold and how much and to whom. Now, I want us to do an invoice. So we will make a sale. This case, let's say in the service industry, and you want to do, maybe it's a client who wants to do team building. And the same client you'll offer consulting, or you'll train them. You say yes. So with PR consulting, if the event is for 2 days, over here you'll say how many people are they? Maybe you're dealing with a team of 15. And you'll be training them for 2 days. And this is an invoice. Customer is, we could say, So this is CJ Enterprises. Their staff are going for an outing for 2 days. So we say this is an invoice. And in creation of an invoice, we also indicate payment model or payment mode. So we could say maybe they're paying through the bank. And this is optional. You can indicate payment reference and also where the payment is due. If maybe you are doing the event today and tomorrow, you will say payment, maybe they pay later. You say payment is due by Monday, but service delivery starts today. The payment start, maybe they do a deposit of 30,000. Pay the rest on the 18th, on the 18th August 2025. So the initial deposit is 30,000. So even with 30,000, even if they did give a down payment and the arrangement is that they will still pay, maybe they've given you is it LSO? Maybe they've given you an LSO. You still create it. So this is the outlook of your invoice. You can either print it, download it. Basically, the two options. You're able to do that. You can send it in soft or print it out and send it to them. First, it has details of payment information. And up here, it shows when the last payment is expected. Ladies and gentlemen, we move from there. When you come to quotation, again, depending on the service that you offer, you are able to create a quotation, add items in this quotation, indicate your customer, also indicate your payment details and expiry date of that quotation. When you create it, if your client approves that quotation, you graduate it to an invoice, which means that you're already in business with the client. Now, we've just created an invoice. I would want us to go and pay that invoice in my accurate books. So you come to purchases or you come to sales and you say receive payment. This is where you, a client is supposed to pay because they owe you. In our case, our client is CJ Enterprises. So we say collect and we say pay now. Payment method, bank. The payment status, they are paying in full. And we say that now their bill is cleared. So these will be updated over here. So in the event that it is a backdated invoice, while you are creating, you saw that you can create the date that payment is expected and the date that the service is being delivered. So you are able to backdate an invoice in the event that you've just started using my accurate books and you have some information that you need to include in the system. So when you do that, it will no longer appear in your pending payments because you will have already cleared that bill, or the client will already have cleared that bill. Now, in the event that you made an error in a transaction, you can, for your accounts to balance, you can generate a credit note. So among the listed items, you can search for the invoice or the receipt, basically the invoice, and create a credit note in that regard. When it comes to purchases, this is where you generate your purchase order, which you send to your suppliers. That is why I was saying it is important that you have details of your client. With suppliers, you could be having an individual supplier. So it would mean you indicate individual, basic individual information, their name, email address and contact, or maybe their name and contact. In the event that your supplier is corporate, you can still update their details as well. The name of the supplier, their email address, and again, their phone number. This is optional. You can indicate what they supply. So we could generate one. So we say we want to generate create a purchase order. So over here, you can select items that you want to be supplied. Maybe items that are out of order, out of stock. If it is cooking oil, you could say maybe you need 10 of them, 20 of them. If it is Kafagara, with Kafagara or Spencer or Rice. So you could say we have 7 in stock, we need 20 of them, maybe. And our, in this case, we could say it's Great Man Enterprises. And the terms is that if all this is available, payment is on delivery. And you create that purchase order. Now, after that, it is listed as open because the supplier may not be having all you've requested. So when you come back under purchases, you can edit this status. If everything you've requested for is available from the supplier, you say this is approved. An approval type is in form of an invoice or a receipt. And you have to indicate the invoice number. In this case, we can give it. In the event that you wanted to add another product, again, you can add it here and you save changes. So when it is approved, it means that it graduates to payment. You say with the purchase, you want to pay for that supply because it has been approved and delivered. So you say pay now. Payment status, is it full? You want to pay through a bank transfer or M-Pesa? So we are paying 30,000. This is optional. You can set cleared. So that has been paid. So you don't have pending, you do not owe any supplier as the system stands. From there, in the event that maybe one product was delivered as substandard and you paid for it, you can as well generate a debit note. So that is enabled under my accurate books. You can still update your products with under purchases. You're able to do that. You can record purchases as soon as they come in. In case you did have a PO, you're able to record those purchases right here under purchases or purchase. Now, we are almost getting to the last bit of it. So come to, before you get to reports, there are expenses. I know any institution or organization or company, there are vote heads every now and then. And some, the system has listed a couple of them, not everything. And we've left an allocation that you can update any payment that you make from the system or expense that you make, so that even as you generate your reports, you're able to get accurate reports insofar as your business is performing. So that even as you extract your P&L, it shows all this. So we could use an example. For example, maybe we could pay for printing and stationery. The payment method may be M-Pesa or bank transfer. Let's say M-Pesa. So we have to, this is mandatory. You have to indicate the reference code. The dummy number. We say we are buying for maybe 35,000. So this is something like that. And whether the status is paid or unpaid, the system will deduct 35,000, assuming that this at some point, the fact that it is updated under whichever status, it will be paid for. So we update that. The good thing is that it can be reviewed. As soon as you save it, it can be reviewed. So by being reviewed, I mean, for example, whoever was sent to buy, maybe the costing went down to 34,000. You can update that and save changes. It load. So as you can see, it now reads 34,000. Lastly, with reports, as I had mentioned, you are able to see your inventory, and you can print out this report or download it in PDF. There are two options. For example, if you say, I want to print this, and you can filter specific dates. This one is from 1st of this month until 31st. There is also stock management aspect of the system. This is where there are requests, because assuming that you have branches in a business, there are requests that could be made from the satellite branches. So you are able to approve them at this point. If maybe they are not available, you can cancel, or you can, and they will indicate whether they've received them. And under the system, you're able to see requests that have been made, the ones that are pending, the ones that have been approved, the ones that have been delivered to the right offices, and in the event that either is cancelled, you're also able to see that. Now, we'll still go down to, let's see, other for profit and loss. You can download it in PDF or Excel. And these are reports that you can download on a daily basis. For example, we say we want one from August 1st until today. So it shows sales from invoices and receipts, a summary of cost of goods sold, a summary of operating costs. You remember we've indicated that we've paid for printing and stationery. So we've spent 34,000, and below here, it still tells me even after all that has happened, our business do have an income of 345,630 shillings. So when you upload it, there are different sheets that show those sheets shows you different aspects of this report. So when you create an account, you will be in a position to download, whether it's in PDF or Excel. And these are reports that you can even present to a bank, and they will be in a position to give you a facility. Because I know the bank asks for statements. In the event that you may not have another, maybe most of your payment comes through cash, you may not have enough M-Pesa statement maybe to support what you're asking for from the bank. And therefore, with my accurate books, the report that you extract on your income is a report that can be used to get a facility from a financial institution. Again, when it comes to compliance, these are reports that you can use with your bookkeeper or with an accountant to basically get to see how your business is performing. And the other report that is also very crucial is your report on sales, daily sales. So this shows you can download it in PDF or in Excel. You can again filter the information that you want. And most importantly, when you download it, you're able to see how the payment came in, whether in cash, through PayBill or Pochi la Biashara, or through a bank account. You're able to see all that. And lastly, with user management, I know I had highlighted this prior. So you are able to give responsibilities under this system for different staff whom you know you have given mandate under your organization. Whether it's a cashier, a salesperson, or an accountant, or even an admin. Maybe you're more than one directors and you need access to this system. You can delegate an admin role to another director, and you will be in a position to execute operations of your organization. Now, I also mentioned about branches. You are able to create different branches. And I know these are features that will feature heavily under the gold package, because it comes with many advantages. Apart from getting to follow what is happening at different branches, you are able to even get reports on how those branches are performing. And in conclusion, as you've seen, this system is extremely simplified, because we believe that in some instances, you may have staff who do not have a background in accounting, but you still want them to succeed in the job that they do. So this system will help them, one, manage your business efficiently, and two, even allow them to be accountants, even when they're not as educated as some of us may be or are. So, ladies and gentlemen, if there is a solution that we pride ourselves in, is what we've been able to achieve through My Accurate Books and the feedback that we've been getting from users of this system. And I can tell you that we get a lot of feedback, and out of that feedback, we've been able to improve many aspects of this system. There is a feature I did show you where initially we didn't have a feature where, as a manufacturer, whether you're making soap or you're formulating animal feeds or you're making detergents or you're even making basically products that involve different raw materials, we did have that, including those in the restaurant. Now we have it in the system. When you come to update your items, and you say you want to update to add an item, below here, one, you can set the minimum and maximum costs of an item. So this will protect your clients from exploitation or your business from making losses, because some clients may over-negotiate and you realize that that is below your profit margin. Some may be exploited. You never know. And in the event that there is such a situation, you are in a position to save your business. I open the floor for questions. So I'm opening this floor for questions so that so you'll definitely get this recording. It will be shared. I know you'll also get to see it on YouTube. Check us out, RWK Africa. You'll be able to see this recording. So Michael Orlande, I see you asking, the working customer will need a receipt in his or her name. In such a scenario, you can update the information for the sake of that receipt. So it is very easy to do that within the system, because you only need their name and their phone number. Now, why is this important? Sometimes you may be having offers that you wish to share with your customers. So under this system, with that information or the phone number of your client, you're able to update them maybe on new stock or on any occurrence that is happening within your business. So I see Anne Waitera asking a great app, thank you. What makes it different from other traditional software? So one, I can confidently say that there are many aspects of this system that makes it stand out. One of them is that your information when you create an account is encrypted, in that it is very hard for any external penetration or any external infiltration into your account. So you are assured that you are safe. When it comes to data protection, everything that has been done with this system is in line with Data Protection Act of 2020. And therefore, you know that when your business is in My Accurate Books, it is safe. Information is stored in the cloud. So in the event that even your machine crashes or you lose your phone, you are assured that you'll still get your business information as soon as you log in from whichever point. And again, as I have mentioned on how simple this system is, in that it is accessible, it is user-friendly, or rather it is intuitive, in that anyone who has basic computer understanding or can use a phone, an Android phone, would be in a position to comfortably use My Accurate Books and execute the roles that come with the job that you've given them. So I see a question. From does the software update all the subsidiary books, e.g., when payment is made, it updates all the information? So, Michael Orlando, thank you for your question. As I had mentioned at the beginning, we now have a wonderful feature, or I would say an outstanding innovation in the name of My Accurate Pay. When a client or when your customer makes a payment through My Accurate Pay, when you have a wallet, that is My Accurate Pay, you will be in a position to, it will update there and then. However, if you do not have My Accurate Pay, you'd have to update it yourself or the person that you've delegated that to. So I see, yeah, the notes will be shared. Also, my colleague or my co-host has shared a form. If you need more information about the system and how we offer free virtual demonstration, so take advantage of that. We are happy to make time and schedule a 20 to 30 minutes demonstration to help you understand the system. You can get it from Play Store, that is My Accurate Books or My Accurate Book. And as I said, the icon is the multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction signs with a gold background, My Accurate Books. And again, you can access it on web, myaccuratebook.com. I thank you very much, Joy, for your compliment. Thank you, Anne. I see Fahad, you're asking, please, how can I get the application? Below this conversation, you'll see a link that leads you to the app. You're able to download it and set it up in your phone. For those of us who use iPhones, you may not get it on iOS, but if you type www.myaccuratebooks, you will be in a position to access it. We are coming to the iPhone and iMac fraternity very soon. So I see Celeste ask, kindly share the link for taxation in the education sector again. So Celeste, I would kindly request you to fill that form. With your details, we are able to forward the information that you're requesting. All right. If there is no other question or clarification, I wish to express our heartfelt gratitude for making time. I'm happy to see that you've enjoyed the 2 hours. I think it's approximately 2 hours of informational conversation. And I wish you a good afternoon and a great weekend ahead. And I know Mary shared a couple of upcoming events. If you miss them, you will be missing on a lot. So take advantage of that. They are discounted, and it would be great to see you one-on-one for those events that are one-on-one, including the CEO breakfast for the manufacturing industry. In the meantime, go to Google Play Store, download the application, and as I showed you, the other difference of MyAccurate from other softwares is that when it comes to cost or investment, because I consider this as investment, we would say that we are cost effective. Imagine paying 500 just a month, and you're able to do all the activities that entails your business, and you're able to even get reports when you need them at the time that you need them. And the other advantage is that you can access this system even in locations that have low bandwidth when it comes to internet. So it is extremely not just intuitive, but also extremely accessible even in remote locations. You cannot afford not to have MyAccurate books. I want to thank you very much, and I can't wait to see you on the other end, where we do a demo and we get to learn more about the system. Thank you and have a good afternoon.